All right, so we're starting the 7th chapter about the Torah Ha'ida, the Torah witnessed. Rayot Rambam L'Biat Mashiach, which are the proofs of the Rambam about the coming of Mashiach. על פי מבואר בפרקים הקודמים משמעותה של ביאת המשיח, אפשר להמשיך ולהתבונן בראיות שהרמב"ם מביא מהתורה על עניין של ביאת המשיח, שהרי התורה העידה עליו. According to what we talked about in the previous chapters about the meaning of the coming of Mashiach, we can continue and look deeper in the proofs that the Rambam brings from the Torah about the idea of the coming of Mashiach. שהרי התורה העידה עליו, the Torah was the witness upon him, right? And this whole chapter is based on the Kutei Sichot Balak and Elech and Shoftim. והקדים הנחת יסוד שמובן ברור שאין עניינו של הרמב"ם למנות את כל המקומות בתורה בהם הובטח ביאת משיח. You have to explain the foundation point. It's obvious that it's not the point of the Rambam to list every place in the Torah where we were promised the coming of Mashiach. אכן ישנם מקומות נוספים בתורה שזכה בהם גאולה שלמה, ולא הזכיר אותם הרמב"ם כאן. There are plenty of places where the complete redemption was promised, and Rambam didn't mention them here. ולכן מובן שבכל ראיה שהוא מביא ישנו חידוש בתוך המיוחד בקשר לאמונה ביאת משיח. So thus, the fact that he didn't bring them means that everything that he did bring, there's something novel and special about the part connected to believing in the coming of Mashiach. כלומר, שיותר לא רק מוכיחות שאכן תהיה ביאת המשיח, אלא גם מבארות מהי ביאת המשיח. I mean, these things don't just prove that yes, there will be the coming of Mashiach, but they also explain what is this coming of the Mashiach. כפי שיתבהר בעזרת השם, it's going to be explained further now. הראיה הראשונה, חזרת המלכות ושלמות התורה. The first proof is the return of the kingship and the completeness of the Torah. ראייתו הראשונה של הרמב"ם מדבריו האחרונים של משה רבנו, ובלשונו שם. So, anyone who doesn't believe in him, כל מי שאינו מאמין בו, ומי שאינו מחכה לביאתו, לא בשאר נביאים בלבד, הוא כופר אלא בתורה ומשה רבנו. He's not sinning just against the prophets, but he's sinning against the Torah and Moshe Rabbeinu. שהרי התורה העיד עליו, since the Torah was a witness to him, שנאמר, as it says, ושב השם אלוקיך את שבותך ורחמך ושב וקיבצך. And God had returned your settlement, and he had mercy upon you, and he went and he gathered you, etc. And if you're going to be in, and God brought you, and this is in the Torah, and they include everything that the prophets say. שבדברים אלה מוצא הרמב"ם הוכחה לא רק לעצם העניין של גאולת ישראל, אלא גם התוכנה. And the Rebbe points out that in these things that we just mentioned, the Rambam doesn't just find proof because it says it's going to be, etc. But also explains the inner meaning, so to speak, the tochen. Shivat Kol Israel Aretzam Shta, the return of all the Jewish people to their land and inheriting it. The fact that the Jewish people return to the land and inherit it is what allows the return of the kingship and the return of all the mishpatim, all the judgments. פסוקים אלו הם חלק מתוך הברית שמשה כורת עם בני ישראל בערבות מואב. These psukim are part of the covenant that Moshe does with the Jewish people in Moab. As we just had last week, right? We read that if you keep the Torah, I'm going to give you blessings, and I bring before you the blessing and the curse, right? לפני כן התחייב משה כאשר לא יקיימו את המצוות ויעבדו את מלכותיו ויתפזרו לגלות. And before all this, Moshe warned them that if they do not fulfill the mitzvah, they're going to lose their kingship and they're going to be spread all over the place in exile. And instead of serving Hashem, they're going to have to serve their enemies who serve idols of wood and stone. וכפי שהרמב"ם בהלכות תשובה ביאר שעיקרן של כללות אלו שבהיותם בגלות לא יוכלו לעבוד את השם כראוי. So the ikar of these curses, being that they're in exile, they could not sorry. So these psukim are from part of the covenant that Moshe does with the Jewish people in Abraham about keeping the Torah with blessings and curses. So Moshe tells them if they're not going to fulfill, they're going to lose their kingship and serve the idolaters. And the Rambam says, no, the whole point of this curses is the real curse is that when we're in exile, we're simply not able to serve God the way that we should, the way that it's worthy. But what does Moshe end with? In the end, the Jewish people are going to do tshuva. And then God will return them to their land, and they're going to return to the same level, to their land and to their kingship. And they're going to go back to listening to the voice of God, and they're going to do His commandments. וכמפורש בהמשך הפסוקים שלא צוטט ברמב"ם, ומל השם אלוקיך את לבביך, לאהבה את השם אלוקיך. And God circumcised your heart to love God your God. ואתה תשוב ושמעת בקול השם אלוקיך, and you should return, and you heard, and you listen to the voice of Hashem your God. וזהו סיומה הטוב של הברית, and this is the good conclusion of the covenant. בהבטחה, שסוף כל סוף יקיימו ישראל דברי התורה בשלמות. The promise that in the end of the day that the Jewish people are going to fulfill the Torah completely. ולכן בפסוקים אלו אפשר לראות לא רק את העובדה שתהיה גאולה לישראל, אלא את גם תוכן הגאולה כפי שהרמב"ם מתאר אותה. So in this psukim, in this word, we can understand not just that it's explaining that there will be a redemption to the Jewish people, but also how is this redemption going to be? Because the Rambam explains it. What does the Rambam say the redemption will be? A nullification of serving the other kingship and a return of the kingship of Israel and the fulfillment of all the Torah. Right? So that's the first thing. The second proof, so to speak, or things that he is a king from the house of David. And the Rambam adds a second thing about the coming of Mashiach. Also in the Parsha of Bilam, it said in there, he prophesies about the two redeemers. The first redeemer, who is David HaMelech, that saved the Jewish people from those who were constricting them, limiting them. The final Mashiach, who's going to stand up from his descendants, and he's going to redeem the Jewish people in the end. And then he says, Ar'enu velo ata, David, I shall show you, but not now. That's King David. Ashurenu velo karov, the Melech HaMashiach. Ashurenu, but it's not close. That's Melech HaMashiach. Derech kochav miYaakov, through the star of Yaakov, the David. V'kam shevet miYisrael, and rose a tribe from Israel, or rule from Israel. Zeh Melech HaMashiach. Umachatz batei Zoav, the David, and he squeeze the sides of Moab, the ends of Moab. That's David HaMelech. Because it also says and he hit Moab and he like measured them almost with a rope, or limited them with a rope. And the one who will deal with all the sons of Shet, that's the Melech HaMashiach. And he ruled from water, from sea to sea. And Edom was an inheritance. The David, and it says, Edom shall be to David 2 servants. And it was an inheritance. That's for the Melech HaMashiach. It says, and rose the redeemers in the mountain of Zion. The Rebbe explains that from this prophecy, the Rambam learns out several things. Aleph, הגאולה אינה עניין המתרחש מאליו, אלא דרך איש בשר ודם דווקא. The redemption is not a natural process that will happen on its own. Right? It's not just eventually people will just decide to stop killing each other and then we'll start serving God and this and that. No, it's going to happen through a man of flesh and blood. He sees a star and a tribe, right, that are going to rise up from within the Jewish people.
Alon. Question. If possible, sometimes can you translate in 2 languages, please? Or better off in the other language.
Okay, попробуй по-русски. Sorry, or do you mean in English, to translate more in English?
No, translate more in Russian.
Okay, могу постараться. So, you want all the words translated? I will try.
No.
So
Just the sense. Am I right? You have.
Are you right?
Егуда.
Нет. Если это идет translation на английский, значит должно быть все по-английски. А потом при записи можно потом будет слушать и транслировать на русский вместе. Это уже следующий шаг. А сейчас много людей могут слушать и потом будут слушать это по-английски класс.
Окей. Если есть возможность потом транслейт на русский, it's fine.
Потом это когда будут просмотреть, когда будем запись, можно вместе с кем-то это смотреть и транслировать.
You guys want to translate it? I'm happy to do that. Honestly, my Russian is not quite good enough. Even my English is sometimes challenged with some of these words and translations. I don't want to.
Okay. Guys, that's fine. You're right. I'm sorry. I withdraw mine. That's fine. Let's do English. It's fine.
But again, if something doesn't make sense in English, please ask. I can try to explain it better.
Got it.
But the general of it, right? The redemption is not going to happen on its own. It's not a natural process that will just happen. There's a human being that's going to bring it together. That's going to happen through a human being, a flesh and blood. Right?
Yeah.
He sees a star and a tribe that are going to stand up from within the Jewish people. The Rambam explains this like different names. Kinuim is almost a nickname or a different way to describe, like a muscle, an allegory to people. Sorry, to very elevated high people. Moshe Rabbeinu only said, and God returned your shvut, your return, so to speak, what you lost. Velo uskal, so based on the words of Moshe Rabbeinu, you could have thought that it's God himself is going to do it. Fine, so it's going to come through nature, especially because the word that is used, return Havaya, your God in nature, Elokecha. Elokecha means the God through nature. So you could understand this, that this will come through nature. And it wasn't mentioned that it would be through a messenger of flesh and blood. This is why he brings this extra thing to show that it is. וכנ"ל בפרקים הקודמים שהרמב"ם מדגיש לאורך כל הפרק, המלך המשיח עתיד לעמוד ולהחזיר ובונה ומקבץ. And similarly, in previous chapters, the Rambam mentions the whole chapter, the Melech HaMashiach in the future shall stand up and he will return and he builds and he gathers. Ya'amod Melech Mibeit David shall stand up a king from the house of David. And then he's going to v'yikof and he's going to enforce, v'yilachem and he's going to fight. All the changes that are actually going to come during the days of Mashiach, he actually says he's going to do it. It's going to be done by Mashiach himself, right? He's going to build, he's going to fight, he's going to gather. It's not just going to be a natural thing. It'll be the work of Mashiach, the active work of Mashiach. עוד זאת, שמדברי בלעם שמשווה את משיח לדוד ומציג אותו כהמשך שלו, לומד הרמב"ם שאותו גואל ישראל הוא איש מזרע דוד, שבא להמשיך את עניינו של דוד המלך. Moreover, from the words of Bilam that compares Mashiach to David and clearly shows him as a continuation, the Rambam learns that this same Redeemer is someone who has to come from the seed of King David, because the whole idea is he's going to continue the idea of David, the king. The Rambam explains the whole idea of Mashiach is to return the kingship of David as of old, the original government, so to speak, the original kingship. ולכן הרמב"ם מעריך לבאר את כל חלקי הפסוקים. ומה הכוונה לדוד ומה הכוונה למשיח? So the Rambam continues talking, explaining all the parts of all the parts there. What was the meaning to David and what was talking about Mashiach? Why is he mentioning this is about David, this is about Mashiach, this is about David, this is about Mashiach? Because the whole point is this prophecy emphasizes the connection between David HaMelech and Mashiach. ולכן הרמב"ם מכתיר את דוד ומשיח באותו תואר, שני המשיחים. This is why the Rambam crowns David HaMelech as Redeemer, Mashiach, with the same name, שני המשיחים. You have the first Mashiach, Mashiach Rishon, and Mashiach Haron, the first Mashiach and the last Mashiach. שבזה הוא מתכוון להדגיש ששניהם עניין והמשך אחד. Why? Because they're one idea, right? It's like you have the first Aliyah in the Torah and you have the second Aliyah in the Torah, but it's still it's one reading, right? It's just parts of a reading. Similarly, you have the first Mashiach and the second Mashiach. Given. Also, the Rambam learns from this prophecy the order of the revelation of Mashiach. כי בלעם בנבואתו בתחילה רואה את משיח עצמו. In the beginning, Bilam sees Mashiach by himself. Ashurenu. Hinani רואה אותו. Ashurenu, I guess, can mean, here I see him. ואחר כך את פעולתו על ישראל. קם שבט מישראל. First is just Ashurenu, it's just I see him. Then there's an action upon the Jewish people. Kam Shevet Misrael, came a tribe from the Jewish people, or came a ruler, Shavit Misrael. You can read it either one, a ruler from the Jewish people. Then we go further to about his actions upon the nation. And in this there's two parts. In the beginning, he's going to come in the way of defeating and winning and fighting them and beating them against their will. In Yanakav, literally, the idea of beating is the enemies of the Jewish people. Including the point that the Rambam brings that they're going to rule from sea to sea. The whole point of this kingship, etc., is actual ruling. Which is different than rulership when you have like a king that you choose, an elected leader, or someone you want to be in charge of. ואחר כך בדרך של תיקון פנימי, and then after that comes the inner correction, שליטה בהכרח, להבדיל ממלאכת שמורה על שלטון רצון. עכשיו, sorry. והיה ירושה שעיר אויביו, and it became an inheritance of Seir, his enemy. שהביטוי ירושה מורה שלוקחים דבר שקרוב ושייך אלוקח. Inheritance is much closer to you. You're not longer fighting them. It's an inheritance that you get. Inheritance you usually get from a very close relative. ומזה לקח הרמב"ם את סדר גלותו של משיח שכתב של רמב"ם. From this, what we just talked about, the Rambam now can go and explain what is the order. What does he say? אם יעמוד מלך מבית דוד, if or when will stand up a king from the house of David, ויקוף כל ישראל אל אחווה ולחזק בדקה, and he shall enforce the whole Jewish people to follow the Torah and to strengthen it in a thin way. וילחם מלחמות השם, and he shall fight the wars of God. ובנה מקדש במקומו, and he built the Beit HaMikdash in his place, וקיבץ את אחרי ישראל, and he gathered the exiles, ויתקן את העולם כולו לעבוד את השם ביחד, and he corrected the world to serve Hashem together. שסדר זה מקביל לסדר בני בנם. This is the same order as in the prophecy of Bilam, right? First, he's going to stand up, reveal himself. Then he's going to enforce the Jewish people to do the Torah and to strengthen it. And then he's going to fight the wars of God. He's going to build the Beit HaMikdash. He's going to gather the exiles. And finally, he's going to fix the whole world to serve Hashem together, even the non-Jew. Right? There's going to stand up a person who is higher than the nation, a king from the house of David, and he shall start ruling the Jewish people, or leading the Jewish people would be a better word than ruling in this particular case. And he shall enforce all the Jewish people. What does it mean, v'yichov dafka, specifically enforce? This is talking about a king stood up a ruling from Israel, or a ruler from Israel. Right? What is a shevet? Shavit? A ruler who is ruling with a strong hand, right? Very, very strictly. And afterwards, he will even have an impact on the nation. And in this, there are two parts. First, you have the beating and the victory, and you shall fight the wars of God. You have to fight. Mashiach will have to fight. And afterwards, it's just going to be an inner correction. He's going to fix the world to serve God together. And this is what's going on in the continuation of the chapter. When Mashiach stands up in reality, he shall succeed, and he shall be seen. Immediately, they all do tshuva, and they know that they were told the lies by their forefathers, and the prophets of their forefathers confused them. I'm assuming this is talking, so this seems to be talking about the Goyim, who believe that their prophets are the truth, and the Jewish nation is no longer the ones who are the chosen people. וגם כאן רואים את שייכותו של משיח דוד. Here we also see the relationship of Mashiach to David HaMelech. שגם על דוד מתנבא לבלעם באותו הסדר. About David HaMelech, Bilam also has the same order. וכך אכן היה בזמנו, and this is exactly what happened. שהופיע איש מורם מעם והחל להנהיג את ישראל. Came this person who was elevated from the nation, he started leading the Jewish people. ונלחם בפלישתים, and he fought the פלישתים, והיכה אותם, and he beat them. וכאשר הניח לו השם מכל אויביו, and when God made him rest from all of his enemies, החל להכין את בניין המקדש, he started preparing the בית המקדש, עד לבניין בפועל ידי שלמה, until the completion of the actual completion of the בית המקדש through his son שלמה המלך. וכשם שכך היה אצל דוד, כך יהיה אצל משיח. And just like this was by David HaMelech, this is going to be the case by Mashiach. The third proof, shlemut mitzvot, the completion of mitzvot. ועל דרך זה תוכן גם כן הראייה השלישית שמביא הרמב"ם בעניין ביאת משיח. So similarly, so far we've learned two different things. There's a novelty. So now we're going to talk about the complete way to do the mitzvah. Why? The Rambam brings another thing, another proof. אף בערי מקלט הוא אומר, אם ירחיב השם אלוקיך את גבוליך ויאספת לך עוד 3 ערים גומר. ומעולם לא היה דבר זה ולא ציווה הקדוש ברוך הוא לתור. Says, since we know that God never extended our border, and we never built 3 more cities of refuge, right? That never happened. And God could not command something for no reason, for nothing. Meaning, the fact that God said when he does this, you're going to build 3 more cities, and he's never done this, proves that God's going to have to do it, right? We're going to build 3 more cities of refuge. This is going to be with the coming of Mashiach. However, this thing that we're talking about is also not really a proof about the service of the coming of Mashiach. Sorry, the proof about the fact of the coming of Mashiach. So it has an explanation and a new novelty in the meaning of the coming of Mashiach. As the Rebbe explains. מזה מביא הרמב"ם לא רק קריאה שהדבר מפורש בתורה שזה מלך משיח יהיה הזמן שיש לימוד בקיום התורה ומצוות. The Rebbe says from this, the Rambam explains it's not just the proof that is explained in the Torah, that through the Melech HaMashiach will be the time of the completion of fulfilling all the mitzvot. אלא שמצינו בערי מקלט שהתווסף מצווה גופה, ואספת לך עוד 3 ערים גומר, ולא ציווה הקדוש ברוך הוא לתור. We know that it's not that there's going to be justice of old. We're actually going to fulfill a mitzvah that we were never able to fulfill even at the time of King David, right? The Ari Miklat was never fulfilled. We never got the 3 extra cities. Meaning the Torah itself says there has to be a time in which this can happen, right? There has to be a time when the mitzvah can be like that. וכנראה כוונתו לבאר שאף שכבר ביאר הרמב"ם שעניינו של משיח ושלמות התורה וכולי, הוכיח זו מדברי משה ושב השם אלוקיך הגומר. So, just even though the Rambam already explained the point of Mashiach is the completion of the Torah, והוכיח זו מדברי משה ושב השם אלוקיך, and he proved this for the word of Moshe that Hashem returned Hashem your God. However, we can understand that you could have theoretically a complete Torah even before the coming of Mashiach. As it was in the time of David Shlomo Melech. But the lacking is really only in the fulfillment, the physical fulfillment through our hands. היינו שקרה וחטאנו ולכן נענשנו בגלים ארצנו, it happened and we sinned and we were punished and exiled from our land, etc. ולכן אנחנו נזקקים לביאת המשיח כדי להחזיר כל משפטים שמקודם. Thus we need the coming of Mashiach to return all the laws that were before. אך לולא מעשינו הרעים התורה יכלה להיות שלמה גם לא ביאת המשיח. However, if not for our bad deeds, the Torah could have been complete even without the coming of Mashiach. במצוות הרי מקלט מובא שתורה גופה אומרת מראש שכל זמן שמשיח לא בא, לא תהיה שלמות הרי מצוות. However, since we have the הרי מקלט and the הרי מקלט were never done, it means that until Mashiach doesn't come, you cannot have the completion of the 613 commandments. שמלכתחילה התורה עצמה מתנה את השלמות המצוות והמשיח, meaning Torah itself makes a condition that the Torah, that all the commandments of the Torah can only be fulfilled once Mashiach in fact comes. All right. So we have three proofs that correspond to the three parts of Torah. ובאופן אחר ביאר הרבי, in another way the Rebbe explained, in the Likutei Sichot חלק ל"ד שם, כי הראייה הראשונה, these three, שלוש ראיות הנ"ל מכוונות שלושה אופנים של התגלות בהבטחה האלוקית. These three proofs are also corresponding to the three ways of revelation and promise of God. שלכל אחד מהם משמעות ותוקף אחד. Each one of them has a very important meaning and a very special point. Vehem Torah, mitzvah, and vav. There's Torah, mitzvah, commandment, and nevuah, prophecy. The first proof is from the words of Moshe Rabbeinu, Kotev Torah, the one who writes the Torah. And this is what the Rambam starts the words of Torah witnessed upon him. The second proof is the prophecy of Bilam. It said that there was a prophecy in the words of the Rambam. Even in the prophecy in the parsha of Bilam, it was said, and there he prophesied like to Mashiach. And the third one is from the mitzvah of Arei Miklat, because God wouldn't command for no reason. וכנ"ל, לכל עניין התוקף והמשמעות המחודיים שלו וכנ"ל בפרקים הקודמים של דברים שנאמרו על ידי נביא שייך בהם שינוי. So, everything we're talking about, all the changes, the special things, it is in the previous chapters that they were said about a prophet. There's no change. There shouldn't be any change in them. However, in words of Torah or the commandment, there shouldn't be any change. Right? And for this case, there is a special strength in the words of prophecy. So because really the punishment for words of Torah is normally dependent on the type of avera. If you did a small avera or severe. Unlike the case of transgressing against a prophet. All right, so I'll try to finish. I'm sorry, I'm clearly I'm in New York City and it is now, what is it, 11:36, and I've been up since 5 a.m. Eastern time. So trying to do I will finish here, but I don't think I can quite get to the end of the chapter. I see that I'm having a hard time focusing and learning. Bezrat Hashem will finish the chapter next Monday. I have the book. I'll continue. We'll do another Zoom learning, probably the same time, and we'll hopefully finish the chapter and all the other fun side notes. I'll try to finish this part at least. So we said that the punishment for prophecy is the most severe, right? Because even if you transgress something light, if a prophet told you to do that, it doesn't matter what kind of avera you did, you're obligated to be killed by heaven if you transgress prophecy. Between the words of Torah and the words of commandment, there is also a division. The Torah speaks in the higher world and hints in the lower world. Thus, the fulfillment of the promise of the Torah can be only in the higher world. The Torah Uchanit, Belav Davka, Betorah Geshmi. מה שאין כן מצוות התורה יכולות לחזיר על מעשה הגשמי של האדם בעולם הזה לחנון. דברי הרמב"ם שכל המוציא דברים של מצוותם מפשטן, הרי זה בוודאי רשע בכל. So the promises of the Torah can be, all right, guys, I'm gonna stop. I'm having a really hard time focusing. I don't think it's fair to you guys, and I'm sorry that I'm not quite able to finish the hour today. I will hopefully be a little better rested next Monday because I will not have been driving since 5 a.m. So God willing, next Monday we will conclude. I will try to upload this class to YouTube. Sorry that it's not a complete class, but it is my first attempt, and I believe it should have been. It is recorded, so I will upload it Bezrat Hashem and post the link once I do that. Okay, Kol Tuv, and happy Rosh Chodesh, and Shabbat Shalom, and it's fun that we're talking about cities of refuge because I was just learning a quick Dvar Torah that Elul is our city of refuge. It is a city of refuge set in time and place where we must think of what we have done and what we can improve upon, and we must take decisions and achlatot, bli neder, obviously, for things we can do while the king is in the field. So that one, we show the king our effort, extra effort, and two, because it's a city of refuge, if God forbid we sin before during the year, we have this 1 month to correct our behavior. This 1 month where we can take a achlatot, and the king is in the field, so he will help us. All right, God willing, may we merit ktiva v'chatima tova l'shana tova metuka, and may we merit to see Mashiach with our own eyes very, very soon. Okay, Kol Tuv.
Yasher koach.